What's up? This is EJ Stewart.
What if I drop 40 days, 40 nights?
One, you can't do it.
All you are your words. If there's anything you learned about me, I'm going to keep it 100 with you.
Every morning, every night for 40 days.
Going to be a long 40 days this year.
My skill shot will hold for your city for 40 days, 40 nights.
Rest in peace to all my ops.
For 40 days. If I can do that, then everything will be okay.
You're the guy who can't finish a sandwich. You think you can go 40 days? This isn't normal!
Oh, you're wrong, brother. I'm gonna go the distance.
Let's go!
Let's go is right. What's up? This is EJ Stewart. You are watching 40 Days, 40 Nights with your boy EJ Stewart, where I do 2 live stream shows per day. 1 in the morning after 8 a.m., 1 in the morning after 6 p.m. And we have a big show for you today. We're going to be talking about the Lakers, who are struggling mightily. They have now lost 3 in a row. They have now lost 5 out of 7. And really starting to feel like maybe the Lakers season is starting to hit the fritz in a way that suggests that this is going to kind of be a lost year for the Lakers. So what does that mean for Luka Doncic? What does that mean for LeBron James? What does that mean for JJ Redick, Rob Pelinka? Still playing a season left, but losing on a buzzer beater to a injury-riddled Phoenix Suns team that did not have Devin Booker, that did not have Dylan Brooks. It's certainly a bad look. I watched this game this morning, and there are a lot of problems with the Lakers, so we'll get into all that in a little bit. We'll also talk about the NFL Scouting Combine. Saturday, the quarterback's throw, which is always, the big day everyone looks forward to and is excited about, to see how the quarterbacks look. We get to see some of the skill players as well and how they look. And NFL scouts are giving some details to ESPN about what they're expecting, what they're hoping to see from Ty Simpson and Garrett Nussmeier, 2 of the guys that will be throwing in the draft. Guys are expected to be QB 2 and 3 in this draft. But where will they go? We know Fernando Mendoza will go number 1. What does it mean for the rest of these guys? We'll talk about that, get a deep dive into the quarterbacks in this combine and in this draft. Plus, big news overnight in the entertainment world. Paramount is now poised to buy Warner Media, Warner Discovery, because of Netflix's decision to bow out of the bidding war. So Netflix and Warner Discovery had agreed to a deal that would have allowed Netflix to buy Warner Discovery. Paramount, which was in that negotiation, despite the proclamation that Warner and Netflix came up with a deal, Paramount was poised to remain locked in and engaged and to up its offer, and this came with an increased number in terms of stock buys from Warner Discovery, and setting Warner Discovery at a stock number that was uncomfortable for Netflix to move forward. So after we thought Netflix was going to be taking over Warner Discovery, now it's going to be Paramount, led of course by the Ellison family. So we'll break that down I like to talk about it mostly from the superhero context, because I care mostly about DC. There are definitely other things about this that are important, and certainly feel free to chat, jump in, tell me what you think about what's going on with Paramount, Warner Discovery. Now seemingly all systems go for Paramount to take over Warner Discovery and all of the library that comes with that. HBO, DC, Food Network, everything. Everything from that, including the library, will be going from Warner Discovery now over to Paramount. Also, big night in the Stewart Lynch household last night. Huge night. Because we had the Traitors Season 4 finale. And to be quite honest, it pretty much ended how you could have expected, though there were a little twists. And how the ending ended up going on was pretty crazy. I have told you guys how much I have loved this show. I did not get a chance to talk about it last week, so that was unfortunate. But as a finale, I definitely got to talk about it. So if you guys have not watched Traitors, this will be towards the end of the show, so you could always, bow out if you don't want to be spoiled, and come back, later tonight. I'm not gonna bring this story to you guys, early in the show. So if that's the point of the show where you're like, okay, I haven't watched the Traitors finale yet, I'm not going to spoil anything about what happens in the finale at all at this point in time. But if you don't want to get spoiled, then that will not be the conversation for you. You can always come back later tonight when we have Kendall Fridays later. So we're going to talk about it, though, because I thought this was a very entertaining finale. And it was just bonkers. It's always exciting when you locked into a new show. I think that new show feel it's one of those feels that I think you can never replicate, right? Like, you always remember when you first watched The Sopranos and you were locked in, right? You first watched Real Housewives, you were locked in, or you watched The Real World, or you watched Daredevil. Like, it literally can be any kind of media, but when you get locked in, you have that new show feel. I know this show isn't new for people, it's new for me. I'm dropping in season 4. It's like, you're like, oh my God, I'm locked in. Like, this is like real great entertainment. And I thought that Traitors season 4 definitely lived up to its billing. For people who have been saying this is a good show, I was not someone who was familiar with their game, and now I am, because I really enjoyed this season. So we will talk about the season 4 finale that was on last night. And also, I don't know what to say about this, but we're going to talk about it anyway. The Atlanta Hawks have a very interesting arena promotion coming up for a game against the Orlando Magic in just about 3 weeks. Maybe not the most kid-friendly promotion I've ever heard of, but this is, I think, one of those things where I think it's a two Americas deal, where Atlanta and Atlanta culture, they get it. I won't quite get it. But we'll talk about what's happened with the Hawks on March 16th. It's rare the Hawks can make headlines this late in the season. They are like basically the perennial bubble team. They are the perennial. The playing tournament has essentially become, the Atlanta Hawks Invitational. So really, if you're talking about the Hawks at this point in the season, it's like who are they matching up with in the first game for the playing tournament. Rare as they find any of the headline, but I saw this headline I was getting ready for today, and I was like, should I talk about this? And I was like, I got to, because I saw this morning. I was like, only Atlanta. Beautiful American city, the Atlanta, Georgia area. So we're going to have fun today. 40 days, 40 nights, day 35 coming at you live, multiple spots, including live on YouTube. Just make sure you go over there. And if you're there, subscribe to the channel. New Generation Media is the channel where we stream live and where we post most of our content. I want to give a big shout out to my guy, Brandon Nix. He was awesome yesterday. Brandon's a veteran audio producer and host. He has worked at ESPN. He has worked at Slate. He's worked at The Athletic. He's been all around the block, man. And he's someone that is not that much younger than me, but a little younger than me, but is a really talented guy in this industry. And I was really excited to share the platform with him. And he did a phenomenal job. So you want to hear us talk about the NBA. You want to hear us talk about the upcoming Mets season. He's a huge Mets fan like I am, both Queens natives. So this was a great conversation. And that is up on our YouTube channel. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, New Generation Media. Make sure, of course, you follow me on X, EJ_Stewart, where we're also streaming live. Shout out to the X audience. And make sure you follow me on Instagram, Action EJ. And speaking about that branding conversation, like I always say, all episodes of 40 Days and 40 Nights gets posted on our podcast channel. Just search New Generation Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can get these episodes of 40 Days and 40 Nights, including Night 34 with Brandon Nix, plus all the other episodes we have of 40 Days and 40 Nights, and everything else we do with New Generation Media. So when it comes to Hero Talk, we recorded an episode last week. We'll probably record another episode this weekend. Imperial Broadcast. If you love wrestling, you want to go back to listen to some of our episodes of the maybe tonight I'll get into some of the stuff with the Elimination Chamber, because the Elimination Chamber is coming up. We talked a ton about what's been going on with the creative concerns for WrestleMania. It feels like a lot of answers for WrestleMania should come by the end of Elimination Chamber. But then we'll see. I mean, it feels like WWE's flying by the seat of their pants. But if you love wrestling, me and my good friend Lucas Goldman, we do a wrestling podcast off script. And man, before this week, I don't really like to put names out there or people trying to get on, like, this show, because you never know if it's going to happen. Especially what happened with Evan and him having an issue where he couldn't come on this week. But I do hope I get my friend Lucas on here at some point to talk wrestling. I got to make sure I send him a text. Maybe he can come on at some point, because he's a great guy. Smart man when it comes to knowing the business. He is someone who worked as Vince McMahon's essential writing assistant. He was essentially his right-hand man. Took notes for him, was in every meeting Vince had when it came to creative, including the final meetings he would have with Bruce Pritchard and the top people prior to shows, because he was, again, it's a person who took notes from Vince McMahon. So he has a very interesting perspective on wrestling. He has seen quite a lot. So he's a great mind. So if you love wrestling, check out those old podcasts we did earlier, now last year, but later in last year, because we talked about it a ton. Awesome stuff. So this will be a fun show, man. Again, 40 days, 40 nights. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's talk about these Lakers. It's trouble for the Lakers. It's trouble in La La Land. They lose to the Suns last night in kind of embarrassing fashion. I'll be real. Like, I think that you came into that game. You don't have Devin Booker for the Phoenix Suns. You don't have Dylan Brooks, who's out with a broken hand. And the Suns are kind of fighting for dear life. And you could feel it. Like, they played like a team that was desperate because they've had a really good season. They've been one of the feel-good stories of the NBA. And they're a team that I'm actually, assuming those guys can get back healthy, I actually do want to see in the playoffs. I think that as a 2-7 matchup potentially against the Spurs, that could be a really fun series and a fun one to watch. And they're still not out of it in terms of getting out of the play-in. They're only now, because they're winning against Lakers, only one game back of the 6th seed. So this was a team that was playing desperate. And you would think with the way the Lakers are playing, where you've, again, lost 5 of your last 7, I believe, and you lost 3 straight, you would think that you would come out with a little more urgency in this game, and they did not. They played like a team that thought this one was going to be in the bag. They played like a team that I think thought that the Suns would quit when they got up to a pretty big lead in the third quarter. And a lot of the similar issues we've seen when the Lakers all season kind of reared its ugly head. The defense kind of fell apart towards the end of the third quarter and early into the fourth quarter, that allowed the Suns to basically erase I think it was a 14-point lead, 14-point lead in the middle of the third quarter, erased it by the time the quarter was over. And then the Suns were able to extend their lead to get to about 9 to 10 points. And now the Lakers are trying to play catch up, and Luka Doncic is trying to put on the cape to try to make a comeback there. It should have never got to that point. Once you get up 13, 14 points on this team, who struggled to score offensively for a large stretch of this game, this should have been curtains. And, the lack of hustle, they gave up 14 offensive rebounds in this game. It was a really poor effort. And I think when you look at the Lakers season, this is really the turning point, I think. It's been very weird. I've been the one to kind of not sound the alarm where every Lakers loss, because I feel like I'm someone who I think I understand. It's unfortunate, but I understand kind of what the regular season has become. And I look at the Lakers and where they are with their team and what they're trying to accomplish. And they're not, I think, one of the elite teams, but they're certainly one of the top 5 or 6 teams. At least they should be in the Western Conference. So they've kind of been where I've expected them. But when you have some of the losses that they've had, you lose to the Magic a couple of nights ago, and then now you lose to the Suns without any of their star players. This is where you do have to start the alarm and wonder, like, man, is this thing getting off the fritz? We saw, I don't know if you saw, but, DeAndre Ayton is now complaining about his role. He had a kind of bizarre comment a couple of nights ago when he was like, I'm tired of this role. They're trying to make me like Clint Capella. And I'm like, who do you think you are, DeAndre Ayton? I know you were a former #1 pick, but let's keep it a buck about how your career is going. Like, you literally got picked up by this team off the scrap heap. The other team just let you go, essentially. The Portland Trailblazers, the Suns dumped you. So you're kind of fighting for your NBA career. And Clint Capella kind of had a funny, Instagram kind of troll that he posted last night, where he was like, "You're playing with some of the greatest, you're playing with some of the greatest, passers and creators and all of playmakers in the NBA history. You better lock in, boy," which is kind of funny. But like, because Clint Capella is a guy who's played with James Harden, played with certain guys where it's Trae Young, where he's not a guy who looks for his own offense. He kind of just gets it wherever he can, lobs, alley-oops, putbacks. Like, he's just a garbage. He's kind of and not a bad player. Clint Capella was a very good player, and still pretty good. But he was the kind of guy that kind of gets the kind of garbage points. He's not someone who's creating his own offense. And he's like, this is a golden opportunity. If I was there, I'd be lighting it up playing with Luka Doncic and LeBron James. So I thought a very good response from Clint Capella, who was a pretty funny guy, I think. But, I mean, yeah, I think that the Lakers are in a little bit of trouble here. I think this is the dangers that come with a team that has made it so obvious that they are focused primarily on the 2027, 2028 offseason. or rather 2026, 2027 offseason. Like when they made the trade for Luka Doncic and they looked at their roster, they basically said that we're not going to commit any contracts or any long-term deals to anybody prior to the 2027 free agent class. They're trying to do this thing the old school way, where you bring in a bunch of guys via free agency and build a super team to play next to Luka Doncic. I guess my problem with this is, I've said it at the time, and I kind of still feel this way. It feels like a real, like, odd move and risky move, because they think Nikola Jokic should be available, Giannis Antetokounmpo may be available, but we see now, guys don't get to free agency. It's just extremely, extremely rare. You're much more likely to get whatever star players you want via trades. So if you're not going to have salaries on your books beyond next year, how are you going to have the salaries capable potentially, because you have Luka Doncic signed to a max contract? How are you going to have the contracts necessary to make a trade for the guys that you're talking about? It doesn't really seem to make sense to me. But this is their plan. But I think because of that, now you kind of have, I've made the joke a ton of times that the Lakers essentially put out the Suicide Squad every year, where like the guys in their team are just mercenaries. Like, I see Marcus Smart out there, DeAndre Ayton. Like, they know these guys aren't the part of the future of the Lakers. Like, we all know that. These guys are here to kind of resurrect their careers, maybe have a good season in LA so they can parlay that into a big deal somewhere else. So if the Lakers get some sense and sizes, maybe change their mind and sign these guys. But when you have a team full of mercenaries, you have a team that's not really put together. This is now 2 years in a row where the roster's kind of been turned over. This is, I think, kind of the result you're going to get. Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves as a combination, they're good enough to get you where you are, which is like, fifth or sixth in the Western Conference, but by not much more beyond that. And I watched the game last night, and I felt like it was LeBron James that he looked tired of playing with Luka Doncic. That's how I felt. Luka offensively was awesome. He started the game red hot. He made his first 5 shots. Started to struggle in the second quarter, but then third and fourth quarter, he picked it up again when the Lakers started to fall apart. He tried to keep them together. I just think the way he plays is just not a great fit. And there was a time where I think LeBron was early on, when I watched him play last year, he seemed more willing to kind of fill the gap for whatever the team needed to be the Luka Lakers. I thought last night he just kind of was floating. It's kind of what I've seen from him, I feel like, for much of the season. Maybe because Austin Reeves has now been such a big part of the offense now that limits his role even more. But he looked like a guy that was just floating around, that wasn't all that interested in making his presence felt. He's shot the ball extremely poorly for now a couple of weeks. I think he's shooting the ball around 20% from 3 in the last 9 games. He seems to have lost his jump shot. I just think he's disengaged. Do you get a more engaged LeBron James by the time you get to the playoffs? Maybe. But I mean, LeBron's the most passive-aggressive guy, and I think that he is still probably holding on to the fact that the Lakers have, made him less a priority. They've deprioritized him when it comes to how they're pushing forward their team, how they're approaching the season in their hopes of winning a championship. I played the sound from weeks and weeks ago about Rich Paul saying that the Lakers are not a contender. LeBron can say, well, that's Rich Paul and his opinion, and that's not, my opinion, but he's your employee. His job is to assess what's happening with your career and what is best for you moving forward. And if that person that's your employee is making the assessment that team is not a title contender, that is news. It's not, you can't just put it away to, well, that's just him and his own opinion. He's the guy you hired. He's hiring you to make those assessments, to make those decisions for your career. So forget, he's just his own man. That's your guy. So once he said that, we kind of knew what the story was. LeBron looks at this team and says they're not a title contender, and they're not. They're not really that close. I think when you look at the Western Conference, they look right now like a first-round exit. That's how they look right now. If you look at those matchups they have right now, they're 6th in the West. Again, they are dangerously close to the play-in, because the Suns, they're going to have to get Devin Booker back healthy to probably have a shot to really walk down the Lakers here, even though they have plenty of time and plenty of games to make that happen. But one game separating them, if they fall to the play-in, I think they'll make the playoffs because the teams in the play-in are lousy in the Western Conference. This is a year where the Western Conference is kind of like the East when it comes to the play-in. Warriors, Trailblazers, Clippers. The Eastern Conference, Western Conference is not that much difference in talent this year. At least in that part of it, where you're talking about the play-in teams. I think that the Lakers will probably be fine in terms of making the playoffs. I don't think that is in any way in danger. But I don't think they'd beat any of these teams that are ahead of them in the first round. If they got to face the Spurs, it's a young team, but I think the Spurs and their speed and their athleticism, I think they will terrorize the Lakers in terms of getting into the paint. The Rockets, to be honest, that's probably the one team that they probably want to see. Again, another athletic team, but at least they don't have a guard that can get downhill, with the exception of Ben Thomas, who also can't shoot. That would probably be their best bet. You get the Rockets. You hope that their offense, as we talked about a little bit yesterday with Brandon Knicks, kind of struggles because they have a lead point guard and a real floor general on the floor. You hope that maybe you get them in late games and Luka and LeBron can outdo Kevin Durant and Şengün in clutch moments. Maybe they beat them. I would still pick the Rockets because the Rockets' defense is unreal. Nuggets, I think they're getting smoked by the Nuggets. I don't even want to make that a conversation. And I think the T-Wolves, we saw what the T-Wolves did to them last year. The T-Wolves just completely dismantled and took care of the Lakers. It is not a great matchup for the Lakers. Lakers have nobody that can guard Anthony Edwards. So I don't know how they have an opportunity to beat them. You got to be able to guard him, not just with one guy, but with multiple guys, like the Thunder showed. And they don't have the bodies to do that. You look at, I watched them defensively in the big shot that Royce O'Neal hits to win the game. Luka Doncic gets beat off the dribble. Grayson Allen's able to beat him off the dribble. You know, there's enough good help to not allow Grayson Allen to get a shot, but Luka not being able to stay in front of his man allows him to find a swing. And then Austin Reeves, man, like I think a lot of that was all Austin Reeves. He's got to know where the ball is going once Grayson Allen leaves his feet. It's one of those things you say in basketball where, you know, when you probably, if you've played any level, even youth basketball, the idea of like you don't want to move and rotate defensively when the ball is caught. You want to move when the ball is in the air or even before the ball is passed. If you know where the pass is going, you have to be, especially in a last second situation with only 2 seconds left. Austin Reeves kind of in no man's land, and we know the ball has to go to the corner from where Grayson Allen is taken off from. And he doesn't get over there until Colin Gillespie actually has the ball in his hands. And Gillespie was cooking them in this last night. He's had a great season. Gillespie was unselfish to give up the ball to make the extra pass. He could have shot it himself, but because Austin Reeves was so slow in the rotation, but he brings Austin Reeves over, then swings it over to then a butt naked open Royce O'Neal for a game-winning 3, and that's the end of the game. So I don't feel good about where the Lakers are right now, and I don't feel good about their plan. I think Rob Pelinka is a dead man walking. This is going to continue to go where it's going, because they're just not a well put together roster. The Jake LaRavia move, I think, was a pretty terrible offseason signing. He played well last year for the Kings, so I understood, I guess, why he made sense for them. He could play a little defense, he could rebound, but he has shot the ball so poorly this year. He's a 0 offensively. So he hasn't been a great fit. They tried to bring Kennard in via the trade deadline, but not much has really happened with him since he got onto the team. And then the Ayton deal, Ayton is he's just very underwhelming. And he doesn't seem happy with the role they're trying to play him with. And this is the reason why DeAndre Ayton has been a guy that's been a guy basically kind of a nomad, who's now going to be, I think this is going to be what the rest of his career is going to be. Bouncing from the team, not really finding a true home. Because he views himself as a number 1 or number 2 option, and he's just not good enough, or definitely not good enough defensively, to warrant that kind of attention offensively. So he's playing a role that, in theory, because of his athleticism, because of his size, he should thrive in. When you're playing with Luka Doncic, he should eat, but he's not very happy with the role. So it's not that good a team. Long story short, it's not that good a team. And now we're starting to see, you know, kind of the true kind of cracks in the armor starting to shake here. And if you're the Lakers, you make the trade for Luka Doncic 100 times out of 100 times. It was still a great trade. But I do think they're going to have to be extremely serious moving forward about what is exactly the formula that puts yourself in a position to win a championship with Luka Doncic as your star player. It's definitely not this team. It's not even close. But I think questions about both LeBron and Austin Reeves are going to have to be asked about whether or not those guys are fit. I mean, LeBron they don't really care about, and that problem will be solved by the end of the season. But I do think that even with Austin Reeves, as talented as he is offensively, can you afford to play? I mean, both of those guys play essentially, Luka plays 36 minutes a night, Austin Reeves plays 34 minutes a night, and they're going to play a lot of minutes together. Can you afford to have two guys that are that poor defensively playing for that extended amount of time when they're kind of guard/wings? Like we have that same question in New York with the Knicks and Karl Towns and Brunson. I think it doesn't seem as acute of a problem. I think because one's a guard and one's a center. So you could always take one out of the game and put in a better defensive player. And the Knicks have done that a ton where they finish games with Mitchell Robinson or have gone small to end games. They don't really take Brunson out much in the clutch. But there have been times where other guards have come in, Jose Alvarado or Deuce McBride has come in and brought the Knicks back with their energy and their defense, something that Brunson doesn't bring to the table. And is able to mask a little bit of what you have with Karl Towns and his issues defensively at the center. You can't really hide Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves because they're their starting backcourt essentially. With Marcus Smart, who he's a good defender, but then he also is a very poor offensive player. It's tough. I wish I had good news. I have no notes in terms of what positive spin you can have on whether the Lakers are playing. Well, the way the Lakers are playing right now. And we'll see how their schedule looks kind of moving forward the rest of the way. They got a pretty marquee game on Saturday with the Golden State Warriors. They're dealing with serious injuries, but they've kind of still held serve. They haven't really thrown in the towel just yet. We'll have to see whenever Steph Curry comes back. But this game, I think, is nothing they must-win game. But I think they got to win this game. Like, I think that to go 4 in a row, you lose to now a Warriors team that's undermanned. I think you're really looking at the season saying what's going on here. But you're starting to run out of opportunities to really feel confident in where the Lakers are moving forward. If I do pull up their schedule, which I'll see if I can pull up for you real quick the rest of the way. So you look at the rest of the schedule. So you got the Warriors coming up here on Saturday. Then you got, they'll beat the Kings and they'll beat the Pelicans, I think. I think they will. We'll see, but I assume they will. But the schedule is they don't have a really tough stretch where you kind of get to see them tested. Like, they have a Knicks game here, a Nuggets game there. They have a back-to-back with the Rockets, basically a 2-4 in 1 week where they played them on a Monday, March 16th, and a Wednesday, March 18th. So that'll bound to be a good test maybe. But otherwise, I think kind of what you see is what you get. That trip to the Eastern Conference where it's going to start with the Houston games, but then goes to the Heat through the Pacers. They got a Pistons game mixed in there. But again, I think the Lakers at this point, we know what they are at this point. And it's a team that looks like a first-round exit at this point. And it's again, I think real questions about how do you build this team beyond this year? Because are you going to go another year, which it seems like what they're going to do, another year where you basically have a bunch of guys on 1-year deals because you don't want to waste your money and waste your cap space? I don't love where the Lakers contracts are right now. Let me pull up the Lakers roster real quick so we can get a good look at where they are when it comes to their contracts moving forward. But it's a bad team. Well, not a bad team. It's a very run-of-the-mill kind of mediocre team. It's a team that, again, can get to the playoffs, but I don't see making big waves. So let me show you the cap sheet real quick. Oh my God, I see a really good guy in the chat. I'm gonna pull him up in a second, but this is their cap sheet. Assuming it shows up. Hey, this is working pretty well today. Knock on wood. So you can see their cap sheet right now. What I was talking about. So you got all this money, obviously, for this year, and then you got a lot of guys who aren't under contract for next year, including LeBron James, where we'll see what happens with him. But it seems like they're not committed to having to bring him back. If they bring him back, I think it's going to be another 1-year deal. Rui's gone, Kennard's gone, Maxi Kleber's gone, Jackson Hayes is gone. And then again, you look at, and then Austin Reeves, by the way, extension eligible, hasn't gotten an extension yet. And then you get to 2027, 2028. Now, this is what I was talking about. This is the offseason that they're trying to get to. You got Luka Doncic at $53 million. You have a player option for Jared Vanderbilt. Essentially, no other money is on their books. Bronny James, who they might get rid of by that point. A dude Theory, they might get rid of, and Dalton Connect. All guys that are on team options. There's no other contracts on the team for 2027, 2028. The only guy that is locked in for guaranteed money is Luka Doncic and Jarek Vanderbilt if he picks up his player option. No other team, no other guy. So they're trying to completely clear their books for this one season. But again, find me the offseason in recent years where you've actually seen people make big free agent moves and turn their team around via free agency. It's been a long time since that's happened. But that's what the Lakers' strategy is right now. And again, when we talk about the free agent class, again, by that time, there's a lot of questions, but the thought process is Nikola Jokic, who we know is become good friends with Luka Doncic, will become a free agent. And we know how these things go. Is it possible that they know something that we don't know and that Nikola Jokic is playing his last days with the Denver Nuggets, and therefore when it comes to 2027, 2028, where he will have a player option, will he decline and try to sign with the Lakers and they build their team around Jokic and Luka? The Lakers have done it before. They've done it before. And I think we'll know this offseason if for some reason Nikola Jokic gets handed a super max contract, which is what's going to come to him after this offseason or during the offseason. If he gets handed this super max contract offer and he doesn't take it, I think we'll know what time it is in terms of what's going on potentially. And this is their grand plan. We'll have to see if they can nail it. But I think that right now, I think you got to kind of take a step back and be like, we can't take seriously the Lakers for this year for a championship run and probably next year. Their goal is to clear the books for 2027, 2028 with the idea and hope that they have somebody big coming to team up with Luka Doncic. If it's Nikola Jokic, it's definitely worth it. If you have any opportunity to pair Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, you make that decision 100% of the time. No question about that. But it's risky because Nikola is going to get handed a huge bag of money. Giannis Antetokounmpo also can be a free agent after next season. Is going to be handed a huge bag of money from somebody. Either the Bucks or wherever he gets traded to, they're going to want to sign him to an extension. You're hoping that these guys say no, and I don't want to make any accusations, but I would assume some kind of back channel conversation has been had to see if those guys would have interest. And we know everybody has interest in playing for the Lakers because it's LA, it's the premier organization, all the things that come with the Lakers. We'll have to see. But I think going through the TikTok and going crazy over these Laker games, I mean, I think the reality is they're not that good and they're not going to make a deep run in the playoffs. I think the reality is you think, oh, they're going to make some big fixes to the team next year, and next year they'll be the team. I don't think that's going to happen either. The one thing that is going to be important is will Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick be the guys that will be willing that are going to be calling the shots whenever this 2.0 Lakers team comes about? Because I think what I've seen from the Lakers, they look a little uninspired playing for JJ Redick. So we keep talking about Rob Pelinka, and I think Rob Pelinka, knowing that now Magic's former agent and right-hand man is the business CEO of the team, I would not, or vice president, whatever he is, I would not feel good about my job. Magic is definitely a guy with a big smile, but I'm sure he has a long memory, and I think he won't forget that he feels like Rob Pelinka stabbed him in the back to eventually take his job as president of basketball operations for the Lakers. Right now, the Lakers ownership group has said that Rob Pelinka has all the power in the world to continue to move forward as the head of basketball operations until further notice. That further notice could come very quickly if we don't see some better results, I think, from the Lakers and maybe a surprise postseason advancement moving forward. I'm so excited to see this guy in the chat. Big Friendly is in the chat. Big Friendly, a Hall of Fame level Maggie and Perloff, Guido, and coffee drinker. I wish I had the Big Friendly drops. I don't know why I didn't bring them with me. I could try to download them, but that would probably take forever and destroy my computer in this live stream. But Big Friendly, I'm doing great, man. I want to know how you're doing. I'm doing awesome. I've been spectacular. And there have been people who have been listening to this show or watching this show that have been in my chat that have been saying, we've got some of the Guidos and coffee drinkers, but where's Big Friendly? Big Friendly is one of the staples from the Maggie and Perloff show. He should be supporting EJ. And I said, I don't know. You guys talk. You guys have your own communications. You guys reach out to Big Friendly and tell him I'm doing this thing. I'm doing great, Big Friendly. Knee's doing pretty good. I need to get back to working out consistently. I've been off a couple of weeks, but I need to get back to it. But knee's feeling good. I'm starting to jog a little bit. So I'm feeling good. I don't know how you're feeling. I was hoping to talk to you during that NFL playoffs. Rams had a very, very, very exciting playoff run. Every game they played in was essentially a classic. So I know you were on the fritz with every game, being like, oh my God, we're going to get out of this thing, including the game against the Panthers. So I was hoping to hear from you, hear about your Rams, because I know how much you love Rams country, Rams nation, or maybe Rams house, right? That's what y'all say. But it's great to see Big Friendly, man. Shout out to him. He says they need to get rid of LeBron James in terms of the Lakers. Of course, Big Friendly from Cali. He's like, that's how this thing gets fixed. Get rid of LeBron James and start over, which is going to happen. I feel LeBron has two options. Either he signs for 1 year and goes on a retirement tour, which I think the Lakers will be fine with, because it's a person they can guarantee they can keep for only 1 year. Or he decides to take his talents elsewhere, no pun intended, because of course he said that famously when he went to Miami, take his talents to South Beach. Or he takes his talents elsewhere, and they're able to then, once again, clear that $53 million off the books completely and bring in a bunch of 1 year guys to hopefully rev up for a push for Nikola Jokic in 2027, 2028. That's the plan. No question about that, as far as this is concerned. Big Friendly said, I'm good, missing all you guys. Yeah, man, we miss you too. We miss you too. I'll say this. I'll only say this. I cannot guarantee anything. I cannot even guarantee that the software will allow me to do it. But what I will say is the conversation happened. I've said a bunch of times on this show, well, not a bunch of times, but in the last week, as we're kind of coming to the end of 40 Days and 40 Nights. I've been saying of a ton that I think it might be fun if I could find a way to reunite the entire team. Us coming together like Voltron to do one 40 Days and 40 Nights episode. I can tell you the request has officially been put out. Maggie's aware, Perloff's aware, Bogus is aware, Manny is aware. And what I can say is they're into it. They are open to this. They want to make this happen. So now it's a matter of getting everybody's schedules right. But the hope is that next week, on a day to be determined at some point in time, you will see on my live stream Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Andrew Bogish, and Manny Rodriguez all together for an episode of 40 Days and 40 Nights. Had to hit the round of applause again. Say your prayers, man. If you say your prayers, if you don't pray to anything, then just give me good wishes and good luck in trying to make this thing happen, because I want to make it happen. And I did talk to them about it a little bit yesterday, because we still have a group chat, and they wanted to have it happen. So if you missed the whole team, I know obviously we haven't all been together, but I have had all members of Maggie and Perloff on the show at some point. Manny came on twice because of technical issues the first time. I feel good about potentially making this happen again. The only thing will be the technical aspect. Can we actually physically make this happen? But I'm excited, man. I hope this ends up happening. And I know you'll be excited. Big Friendly is one of our, again, loyal listeners from the Maggie and Perloff show. And a lot of our people who remain in the chat, John Lean, Bob Custer in Nevada, like these are folks that were riding with us for a long time. And it's exciting that you guys have been willing to ride with me on this journey of 40 Days and 40 Nights. And you've gotten little peaks and valleys of, or little peaks, not really valleys, but you gotten little peaks into fields from the show, because we've been able to, run it back with people like
you suck, Bogus.
Andrew Perloff.
The Yankees equally suck as much as the Mets, and I can't say a word.
And people like Maggie. And of course, my good guy, Manny Rodriguez. Let's go, Knicks! So hopefully we have all of them next week. That's the plan. That's the hope. I don't know what day it will be yet. It seems like we'll find a time to make it happen. So that I feel good about. The question is, again, my biggest concern at this point is software. Will my software allow 4 guests? I had 2, and it started off slow with my good friends Carlos Ortiz and Bart Winkler, but then we got through it, and then it was fine for the rest of the way. So we've had 2 guests. at a time. And I think Shamari was on here one time too, so we had 2 guests with Shamari and Kendall. Can we do 4? It's a lot. It's my software should allow it, but will my computer allow it? Will it freeze? Will everything? I don't know. And that's the beauty about live, is that we're gonna find out all together, and it's gonna be either amazing or terrible. We'll find out. We got Brick Friendly. Yes, indeed, that would be awesome. EJ the EP, Magsy Malone, Daddy Cool, 411, and Manny Wapo. He's not just Manny, he's Manny Wapo. You giving them a Manny. You giving Manny too many nicknames, not to give him a nickname here. Big Friendly. Big Friendly explained that. I'm trying to find you all guys and listen to watch. I need my sports talk, man. I've been here for 40 days and 40 nights, Big Friendly. Where you been? I've been doing sports talk and pop culture stuff for 40 days and 40 nights. You've been needing your sports talk. I've been doing it literally at the time of the day when we were on the air. I need you to be rocking with me, but you know what? It's okay. We got 1 more week left. Hope you rock with me the rest of the way. I'm doing this every day. 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm here every day. But shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to Big Friendly again. Shout out to Bob. Shout out to John Lean. And shout out to my friends that have been in this chat consistently since then as well. My good friend Rob DeRay, who's been a great staple of the chat as well. You guys have made this so much fun. Shout out to Big Friendly, man. I'm so happy I got to see him in the chat. Again, if you go to YouTube, I know you're in the Instagram chat, and I'm glad I made to see the Instagram situation. This is a funny comment. He's like, I worked 3 jobs. Yeah, you worked 3 jobs before, my guy. You worked 3 jobs before when you were calling us almost every week. I love Big Friendly. He truly, I mean, we say it all the time on our show, truly a gem and an awesome member of the community and an awesome member of the Maggie and Perloff show. So, yeah, shout out to the squad. Shout out to the people. I don't have a nickname for my listeners or viewers. I should have thought about that. So there are Weedos and coffee drinkers here. There are WFAN listeners here. There are New Generation fans listening here. There are just my friends that are here, my family in here. I don't know what I would call you guys as a group. I probably should have thought about that. I don't know, sometime day 5, day 6. Probably I should have came up with something. Never thought about something at that point in time. Oh, man, it's already been a fun show going off the rails. 40 days, 40 nights with your boy EJ Stewart, rocking with you live on multiple spots, including YouTube, New Generation Media, X, EJ_Stewart, Instagram, Action EJ. Let's move on. Let's talk about the NFL draft. NFL Combine is getting going. We saw some of the pass rushers, linebackers running. Spoiler, the guys that you think are really good look really good. Arvell Reese, who I think I mistakenly said, I couldn't remember, I may have mistakenly said he wasn't working out. I actually didn't realize he was. You want to talk about a smooth athlete. I mean, it's ridiculous. He runs a 4.47. The drills, he's moving through them like he's a running back or like a wide receiver. A scary athlete, and there is a reason why he's being talked about as one of the top guys in this draft. And it makes sense. We knew he was going to test well, but he looked phenomenal yesterday. I mentioned David Bailey, who also looked phenomenal yesterday on his 40 time. It'd be nice if Aaron Glenn was awake for it, but, you know, what are you going to do? So, awesome stuff from those guys. Again, the top guys you expected. How about Zane Durant, who, it's funny, like, we've heard all of the kind of, well, I have, because I, pay attention to college football, and I'm reading stuff regularly. And it's not maybe so much of, like, the stuff you saw on the field. He had a good career at Penn State, but you kept hearing these stories that this guy is a workout freak, and when he gets to a combine situation, like, this guy's gonna do things that are gonna look unreal. And I saw a guy who's like 300 pounds run a 4.7. I'm like, whoa. His agility work, all phenomenal. It's like there are a couple guys that are workout warriors that I think were helped out yesterday at time. Durant was one, but that was to be expected. Also got to talk about this guy before we get to the quarterbacks. Sonny Styles. This guy's a linebacker. Those are his numbers. Those are his numbers. Those are his numbers compared to a all-world safety in Kyle Hamilton, who ran a 4.59 and had a 38-inch vertical. Sonny Styles is an inside linebacker who is 6'5", 244, so he is bigger than Kyle Hamilton, which you would expect as a linebacker. Though Hamilton is big for any player. He could play linebacker. He runs a 4.47, faster than a safety, Kyle Hamilton, who gets put on receivers regularly, and he has almost a 44-inch vertical leap. And Sonny Styles, I mean, the tape will show he didn't miss a tackle all season, with the exception of when he saw my guy Mark Fletcher for the Miami Hurricanes. I saw these numbers and I said, okay, I have even more respect for my guy Mark Fletcher, who ran him over a couple times in that Ohio State-Miami game. But no, we're not here to diss Sonny Styles. He had an awesome showing yesterday from the numbers, and he was another guy people expected, when he gets to a combine, like, this is going to be ridiculous, and it was. So he made himself a lot of money yesterday too. So it was a good day for the linebackers and pass rushers. Not a good day for my guy, Ruben Bain, who didn't work out but had the arm length issue, where he's, again, 30 7/8 inches. Arm length is not particularly supposed to be something that I have typically understood as an issue with pass rushers. It feels like this is the first time I've heard about this for pass rushers. I heard it for linemen for a while. And last year, the biggest thing was about this Will Campbell and his short arms, which didn't seem to be a problem most of the season, but then was at the end. But then he was playing injured, so was his arms or was his knee? We guess we'll never know. But this has been the big story about Ruben Bain: are his arms too short to box with God? Literally. That's essentially literally the story. Are his arms too short to be an NFL star? Because there aren't too many NFL stars that play his position that have arms that short. I will tell you, I just watched him dominate college football for a whole season. So I would stand on the hill and die on the hill that Ruben Bain will be just fine. I could be totally wrong. I didn't know this arm length thing was this big an issue for pass rushers until literally 3 weeks. Well, not 3 weeks ago, more like a couple months ago, when it started to rev up about what the issue was with Bain and why some scouts were wary. So we'll see what happens with the pass rushers and linebackers, but it was a good showing for those guys. We move on to the quarterbacks now. So the quarterbacks, of course, for Aaron Mendoza is the number one guy. He's not going to throw because he has nothing to gain by throwing. So I assume he'll throw at just his pro day, but then that'll be it. So now you turn to the rest of the guys. And according to ESPN, what is being told to the scouts right now is that Ty Simpson and Garrett Nussmeier are consensus 2 and 3, but there's a split on exactly like where these guys will land in the NFL draft. So I want you to read this, and I'll post this here. This is from ESPN.com's article yesterday. Simpson and Nussmeier are viewed as the potential QB 2 and 3 of this class. After their highly inconsistent seasons, scouts are interested to see how both throw the ball during their throwing session. Simpson is still receiving a mixture of late round 1, early day 2 grades, while Nussmeier grades are sporadic. Some scouts see him as a round 3 prospect, while others fear he's a day 3 dart throw moving forward. So if you're round 3, obviously that's day 2. If you're day 3, that's between 4 and 7. That's a huge range of 3 to 7 potentially for where Garrett Nussmeier goes. Here's what I'll say on both guys. Garrett, I've said this a ton about Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson is one of those guys where I hate it when a guy that I like, ooh, that guy's kind of good, I like him. You know, he'll be a nice day 2 or day 3 guy, early day 3 guy maybe. And then all of a sudden, like, the floodgates open because there's so few guys in this draft that are high end. And then now we're talking about, should this guy be a mid-first round pick potentially? What that was also said in this combine article from ESPN was, I think the measurable is going to be very important to watch. He's 6'2", he's about 205 pounds, and when you watch him, he looks small. He just doesn't wear it well. Like, he doesn't look like a guy that to me looks like. There's some guys who are 6'2" and 2 something, but they're solid. Like Cam Ward is not super tall, but he's built. Like he has a build to him that I think made people feel like he's not the biggest guy, but he'll be fine. Ty Simpson is not. He actually had, apparently, I didn't realize he had like some kind of intestinal virus last year, or an intestinal issue last year, and he lost a ton of weight. He actually gained apparently 15 pounds from last season. So I always thought he looked kind of skinny. I was like, I like him, but he is really kind of frail. Apparently he's put on some muscle. I think the hope is that he can gain more weight as he moves on from whatever issue he was dealing with when he was at Alabama. But the physical stuff is definitely going to be the concern. I like him because I think he's a gamer. I think he's very accurate, and I think he reminds me a lot of Kirk Cousins. That's what I said when I watched him earlier this season. I was like, there's nothing spectacular about his like arm or the arm talent, but he just seems to get the ball where it needs to be in the right spot with the right timing. He sees defenses well. He just was solid. And I was like, I think this guy could play in the NFL. He's not going to be a number one pick kind of guy, but it wouldn't surprise me if he carved out his right path with the right coach, ended up being a good starting quarterback. But again, a guy you're probably taking a risk with, maybe a second round guy. First round, it's a big, big risk, I think, with a guy who I think his physical measurables just don't show you much. I think in terms of a guy being a special player. And I think if you're drafting a quarterback in the first round, you would hope to see some special traits. So he's one of those guys where I was like, oh, I like this guy as an under-the-radar guy, and then he gets to be drafted number 15 or 16, and you're like, was the Jets are 16? And you're like, all right, hope this works out. So I tend to think that he won't go in the first round. I tend to think that the issues that I've had with him, other teams will see. I'm expecting that he will be a second-round guy. Nussmeier is going to be an interesting case study because what I think we've seen of late is if you're talking about these quarterbacks that, maybe they could be a round 3 guy, they typically end up going round 5. Because once you get past really the first round, it gets very dicey for quarterbacks to be drafted at any point between rounds 2 and 4. Because it just doesn't, because few teams need quarterbacks, and because you've already made the determination that guy's not going to start for you, it just doesn't make sense to waste a second round pick on a guy that you have no plans to start immediately. So a lot of teams will say, I can wait till the 4th or 5th round to get some of these guys. So to me, if I hear Nussmeier is potentially a round 3 guy in terms of how they evaluate him right now, I don't think people can be beating down the door to try to get him in round 3, because at that point anybody could have had him. So I'm starting to wonder if Nussmeier actually falls a little bit further. But this combine performance is going to be important. I think Nussmeier has potentially a lot to gain to this combine performance. Simpson, I think it's going to be more of whatever you think of him is what you think of him. I don't think, from what I've seen from him and how I evaluate him, I don't know if you're going to see, unless you just don't believe him at all, I don't think you're going to see anything that's going to make you think, oh my God, I thought he was a 3rd round pick, but now I'm drafting him in the 1st round. I think he's accurate. He's good at football. I don't think he has a lightning rod of an arm. So this is not the kind of setting I think he's going to wow you. But if he's accurate and he gets the ball where it needs to be, I think that he'll probably be fine. And the people will say, all right, he is what he is. Nussmeier, I think, is a guy that has some variance. Where I think he was a guy that came into this year. There was people who thought maybe he should have entered the draft last year, and he could have been maybe one of those guys with the Tyler Shucks of the world and all those kind of glob of quarterbacks that were taken in rounds 2, 3, and 5. He could have been in that mix potentially, and he decided to come back because he thought he could be a 1st round pick. The season didn't go extremely well at all. He was very injured. He basically started the year injured. He had knee injury to start the season. I think he had foot issues as well. I want to see how he throws. I'm actually very curious how he performs tomorrow, because I think that there is talent. I think I see why scouts were into him, but he just played so poorly compared to what his expectations were that I think scouts moved off him quickly. Can a big-time combine performance change people's minds? I think he has the skills to potentially impress people at the combine on Saturday. This is going to be huge. Again, this is the day that other people care about. I want to bring up, let's see, NFL combine. Who are the other guys that throw? I know another guy that has a lot to prove, and a guy to watch is going to be Taylor Green from Arkansas, who, if you're looking at quarterbacks and saying who are the guys that could perhaps really surprise people at the combine, I think Green's probably the guy. Green is essentially, I think, he kind of reminds me of the Milton from the Cowboys from Tennessee. Like, to me, like, he's the guy that, like a Joe Milton type, who the numbers probably don't tell you the guy is a top pick, but in terms of just like how he played in college, but the physical traits are insane. He's 6'6", almost 6'7". He's 220 pounds. We'll see what he runs. I assume he'll run extremely well, and he has a cannon of an arm. The problem is he is not accurate. So the question becomes, are you willing to overlook the fact that he's not that accurate to say that we'll take a flyer on him because he's a great athlete and we could teach him how to throw. We can teach him how to play quarterback at the NFL level, and we could develop him. Do you take a chance on him? That, I think, is going to be the big question with him. But he's 6'6", 229 pounds. And again, he has a cannon of an arm, and we'll see the official what he throws and everything, but we'll see if how he performs. But in terms of running, but he can fly on tape. So he's extremely fast. So I'll give you guys a list of quarterbacks here. Assuming once again this does actually work. It's been working pretty well so far. Sharing my screen. Yeah, it's working great today. So you got Fernando Mendoza, obviously, who's not going to perform, but he's there. Ty Simpson, who will throw. Taylor Green. Carson Beck is going to be an interesting guy to watch, I think, on Saturday. Diego Pavia, Garrett Nussmeier. Drew Aller is someone that I'm actually curious to see, too. There were people who were trying to tell me he was better than Cam Ward last year, and it was maybe the most frustrating draft narrative I've seen in the last 20 years. That as they were entering the NFL, the college football playoff, that Drew Aller had the potential, had he played well, to enter his name potentially as a possible #1 pick. And that he was seen as a quarterback that was graded by some higher than Shedeur Sanders and higher than Cam Ward. And I saw that and I said, man, this is why I think I should get paid to be an NFL evaluator if these crazy people are getting jobs. Because I watched Drew Aller because my mom's a Penn State grad and I follow Penn State closely. I know the guy was a big-time recruit. I've watched him play. He's just mid. This is what I've seen. He's just mid. I guess the physical tools are kind of there, but he's not inaccurate. I don't think he reads defense as well. He's just ordinary. It was crazy to me. People were trying to push him as a potential first-round pick, maybe above even Cam Ward. He gets injured this year. Penn State season is a disaster, so he's someone that is not seen as someone that is being looked at very closely this upcoming year. But again, you do wonder, can he have a great day, and then could that get people excited about him, because there were people that were excited about him last year. Then he had to play, then the whistle blows, as they say, and then you're like, oh right, this guy has a lot of issues. He's very underdeveloped still. So I'm very fascinated by seeing what Drew Aller does in this setting. But those are some of the guys you'll see there. You got Drew Aller, Kate Klubnik is a guy who also had a disappointing year, but was seen as a potential first-round pick coming into this year. You saw earlier up there, Diego Pavia will be there as well. I'm actually curious. I didn't get to see what he measured at, but I'm sure it's very tiny as I try to open up the screen, which probably was a bad idea because now it's going really slow. Let's see. Will this open up? Loading. Because show you an ad. The ad's loading up. Will the actual website load up is a question. Pavia. Okay, coming down to the wire. Will this open? There you go. 5'9". Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously he's a Heisman Trophy finalist. He's definitely a lightning rod because of his personality. A lot of swagger, a lot of gusto. 5'9" is a rough measurement for him in terms of the NFL. So we'll see, man. But I'm someone who likes the combine. I know some people say this is super boring. I don't know. I think I'm one of the people who thinks I know what I'm looking for when I'm watching the combine. But again, who do we all really know what we're looking for? Again, I know there are a lot of NFL teams that don't take this thing all that seriously. Aaron Glenn was asleep during David Bailey's 40-time run before someone woke him up. And funny video, by the way. He's sitting there, he's like, and he's almost like yelled, Aaron, he's like, whoa, whoa. And he has to pretend like he was watching, like he was like actually engaged or whatever. Because I think you could see, whatever the NFL Network shows, I think you see also at the combine. So everyone sees you sleeping. It's not like just the people at home. So it was a crazy scene to see him sitting there nodding off before he pops up. He's like, oh my God, I'm awake. Seemed like it was like me during my 9 a.m. math class in my freshman year in college, which was a terrible decision by me to take math that early. And to try to take math, period, in college. Always a mess. Bob Custer in the chat. Sonny Styles is faster than CD Lamb. Yeah, crazy. This guy is insane. I still can't. I saw those measurements. I'm still like, wow. And Mark Fletcher owned those guys. I'm watching Alvaro Reese and Sonny Styles do what they did at the combine. I'm like, yo, is Mark Fletcher, is he like, I'm joking to be clear, but me being my brash Miami fan, I'm like, is he Bo Jackson? Like, these are the guys he was running over and taking over the game against Ohio State late in that game. And then obviously I know Marty Brown also took over that game late as well. But I was like, Mark Fletcher looks like the best player on the field against that Ohio State defense. And these are the guys that are out there, these workout warriors, these monsters. Yeah, Sonny Styles, I'll play out for those who maybe just jumped in. I'll show you the chart again, because he definitely became one of the big winners from yesterday. He is bigger and more athletic than the best safety in the NFL. And he's an inside linebacker. And again, the tape, don't turn on the Miami tape, hard. But besides the Miami game, the tape will suggest he's also really good. He's not just a workout warrior. So this guy, he will be drafted very early. He's not going to be drafted top 10 or anything, but, you know, for inside linebackers, sometimes it can be tricky in terms of where you go. He'll be just fine with these kind of measurements. These are insane, freakish type measurements for an inside linebacker. Again, more athletic than Kyle Hamilton. Ran a better 40 time than CD Lamb. Crazy. Absolutely crazy stuff from Sonny Styles. I love this stuff about the NFL Combine, seeing these guys and seeing just how crazy athletic they are. You see these guys on the field, but you put them in, you know, as a NFL player, so you put them in underwear. And this is the underwear Olympics, as they say. These guys have just insane athleticism. Rod DeRay saying Ruben Bain and Will Campbell T-Rex fight just have been phenomenal. I don't love them. I mean, I'm all for slandering a Patriot, so I don't care about Will Campbell. I do care about them slandering my guy Ruben Bain. I need the NFL season to start like yesterday, because I've seen too many of these memes of people trying to put tiny on to my guy Ruben Bain, who was a superstar at Miami, who turned around the program. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I hope this guy gets to the NFL, has a great rookie year, so we can put aside all memes about him and we move on, because I hate it. I'll be honest, I hate it. And by the way, something I said earlier, and I said this on Maggie Pearl show, so I think this was before the show ended. Did you see Ruben Bain at the Combine? If I could get a picture of him, I'm going to try to, and maybe show you guys. Again, you want to talk about a guy that eats, sleeps, and breathes football? This is a man who still, even since the college football playoff, remember he had those guys at Texas A&M being like, oh, Ruben Bain's not going to be a problem for us. I think we'll handle him. The offensive line, the silly things that they were saying. And Ruben Bain said, God bless him. And he came to his his like pre-week availability to talk about the game in just a plain white t-shirt and no lineup. Like, his hair was just like, he looked like he hadn't seen a barber in 4 months. And I was like, if this is how this guy looks going into a playoff game, I would be extremely afraid of anybody that has to block him. And of course, what did he do in that game? He was, him and Mesidor just destroyed the Texas A&M offensive line, and they dominated that game. Miami won without giving up a touchdown. Ruben Bain has also come into the Combine, where again, these are job interviews. My man, he's wearing the, you know, the uniform you have to wear to go to the Combine, but again, still no lineup, no nothing. Just hasn't seen a barber in months. I love it, man. This guy is all about football, and again, he was a great leader with the Canes, and I'm excited to see him have an opportunity to do his thing. Okay, I got a picture of him here, so you can see what I'm talking about. Shout out to Ruben, man. But this guy, he's all about football. He's not caring about anything else. Let me show you the picture I have here. There he is. Look at that. No lineup. Hasn't seen a barber in forever. This is how he showed up to the NFL Combine. He's not trying to look fresh. He's not trying to look a certain way or whatever. He just, listen, I'm here to just sack the quarterback and dominate. And unfortunately, I can't do that because this is a workout and there's no quarterbacks here for me to hit. So I will come and answer your questions, but that's all I'm here for. This is the guy I want on my team. If this is how he's showing up for the most important days of his life because he's like, it doesn't matter, I just want to do it on the field, that's the guy I want on my team. Shout out to the great Ruben Bain. I really do hope he becomes an NFL star. And I think he will. I keep saying, I draft him at 2. That's how I feel. Bob Custer in the chat. Wikipedia lists Diego Pavia at 5'10". Of course, anybody can change things like that. Wikipedia. His age is probably not. His age probably put 5'10". LOL. Agent probably put 5'10". LOL. Yeah, probably. Yeah, he is extremely tiny. Rob the Ray. Those are Photoshop arms. Are you talking about the picture that I just showed there? I know the pictures with him and Will Campbell Photoshop. I'm saying I don't like them. Oh, you saying those weren't Photoshopped arms? I missed that wrong. Yeah, get out of here, man. See, this is the nonsense I got to deal with when I deal with my guy Rob the Ray in the chat. Back to Bob Custer. Even somebody 5'10" would struggle to see over or around those linemen. Diego, next stop probably Canada. Yeah, I don't see it for him in the NFL. We just don't have that many guys that small that really become star players, and I don't think there's like he was a spectacular college football player, but I don't think that there's like Kyler Murray, runs a 4.4, right? So like you say, okay, he's tiny, but he can fly around the field. Like Diego Pavia is not the kind of athlete Kyler Murray is. So that height was a tough thing for him to come in that small. 40 Days, 40 Nights, your boy EJ Stewart rocking with you live, multiple spots here, YouTube, X, and Instagram. Follow me on X, EJ_Stewart. Follow me on Instagram, Action EJ. Also, as Bob said earlier in the chat, and I want to post it up here, if I can find it. I thought I had it earlier. He said, make sure you all like EJ's posts. That's what he said. I'm trying to find the quote. I can't find it now. I don't know why. Oh, here we go. Everybody on YouTube needs to give EJ a thumbs up. That is a fact. That helps with the show. That helps with engagement. That helps the channel. That helps me personally. If you're liking the show, you're enjoying the show, give me a thumbs up. If you're not enjoying the show, but you still want to help a brother out, give me a thumbs up. That all, again, helps. So if you can like this video on YouTube and wherever you're watching it, Instagram, X, that is greatly appreciated. Again, shout out to Bob Custer in the chat. Rob the Ray. Diego will be fine if everybody had Ruben Baines arms chasing him. That's pretty funny. You redeem yourself with all the Ruben Baines slander by coming up with that line. Yeah, he's tiny, man. He's really tiny. Pat Hayden was about 5'10". I didn't know that. I didn't know he was that short. Former USC AD. That reminds me of Manny Rodriguez joke on the Maggie Pearl show. Whenever we bring up somebody, he just named them for something that they weren't, like, should not be their claim to fame. So we talking about Michael Jordan. He's like, Michael Jordan, the Hornets owner? It's like, no, Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time. So me saying Pat Hayden, the USC athletic director, felt like a Manny Rodriguez joke.
That's how you make America feel, Bill Belichick. Congratulations, you creep. Ah, damn it!
So anyway, I didn't know Pat Hayden was that tiny. He ended up being okay. So yeah, that. There's very few quarterbacks who have been as tiny as Diego Pavia have been and have made NFL careers. It's just a reality. This was big news yesterday. So Paramount is now poised to buy Warner Discovery. Netflix now is out of the mix. They announced yesterday that given Paramount's recent offer, they will no longer pursue their purchase of Warner Discovery. This has been a big story in Hollywood for really the past few months. Because there was this, Warner put themselves up for sale, and there was this huge bidding war between, Netflix and Paramount. It seemed like Netflix won because Warner came to an agreement, but then Paramount said, we're not going to just go down lightly. We're going to fight this thing. And it seemed also like we don't know for sure, but that there was a push from the White House where Ellison, who's the head of Paramount, he's apparently very cushy with the White House in terms of getting regulatory approval. They wanted Paramount to be the ones that bought Warner Discovery. So that side of it, I do care about it as a human, as a American, but that's not the side I'm so focused on quite as much. I'm more focused on the entertainment side, and particularly what this could potentially mean for DC films. So of course, James Gunn and Peter Safran were established as co-CEOs of Warner's DC Films unit. James Gunn does creative, Peter Safran does the business, and DC is in the midst of a reboot that began with last year's Superman movie that did very well critically, did pretty good in the box office, and have had a lot of fans excited. But whenever you have new ownership, everything's on the table. So now you have to wonder, is James Gunn's DC universe, is this potentially in trouble? Could we see Paramount come in and say, hey, we're going to change things up and we're going to reboot this thing again? Because you never know what's real on the internet, especially if you are in my space where you cover this world of superhero comics. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of, things that you hear are true, but then are not true. What was being reported early on when there was this push by Paramount was that if Paramount won this bidding war, it was more likely that they may prefer to reinstall the Snyderverse and bring back people from the past and reestablish that universe, or create a newer version of that universe, and that James Gunn would be more likely to be out at DC Films, and they would start over. Netflix, it seemed like, was more likely to keep James Gunn and keep the status quo, is what we thought. Again, we don't know what is going to happen. We don't know if that was the exact situation, but that was what people felt like was going to happen. So I think there was a lot of people who breathed a sigh of relief from the DC side that Netflix had won, as we thought they won a bidding war, because we were like, all right, we don't want to see any changes to the DC universe right now. They finally just got on the right track. At least they're moving in a right direction. Hopefully we can move this thing forward. But as of right now, we don't really know what's going to happen with DC now that James Gunn is now under Paramount and not under Warner Discovery, because now it is all the situation, right? So there was an older article that said that James Gunn will stay on as head of DC Studios if Paramount buys Warner Brothers, but again, we just don't know. So that's the part I'm worried about. Because I will say this. Paramount, you're going to do this thing. Hopefully you don't destroy the world and destroy media by trying to become the next conglomerate, but we'll see. Just as a superhero fan and comic book fan, please leave James Gunn and DC Studios alone. Please. I know we talk a lot of Marvel on this show, but I'm also a huge DC fan. And if you're a DC fan, it's been a rough 10 years. Because there's been infighting among DC fans, because there's this weird fraction of fans that also may be bots that keep pushing everything that Zack Snyder should have been able to do, and that he was this great messiah that should have continued with his world with DC, and that the creative team, kneecapped him, and it was this terrible thing that happened. And there are people who have still been pushing for Zack Snyder's DC films to somehow live moving forward, even though they already have a new guy in charge. Please don't allow this faction to be the reality. We've had to deal with those folks. We've had some horrendous movies. We had Wonder Woman 84. We had Superman versus Batman. We had the Joss Whedon Justice League. So many terrible movies. And DC made a hard but correct decision to just scrap everything completely and start from scratch with a creative who has not been perfect, but seems to have a good handle on moving this world forward. And it's a world that we just got introduced to that we're interested in. We learned about Metropolis and Superman and his world and the other heroes that are involved with it. That includes Mr. Terrific, that includes the Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, that includes Hawkgirl. And we're hoping to learn more as we get more projects coming out. There'll be the Lantern show that comes out with Aaron Pierre playing, Jon Stewart. There'll be multiple other shows and movies coming out in the near future. Supergirl comes out this year with Millie Alcock. Just don't mess up a good thing. I don't know what the Trump people are telling you. I don't know what other allies may be telling you. Please just leave James Gunn be and let him do what he's been doing. Let him complete the vision that he has started. And let's see how it goes. If it flops and you need to restart over or do whatever, that's one thing. But I sincerely hope this doesn't mean that we are looking at potentially another reboot situation. You're being handed something on a silver platter. A smart creative who's a veteran in the business and a veteran in come to making superhero movies, who made the first movie of this universe that was widely critically acclaimed and fan acclaimed. Don't screw this up. I'm begging you, do not screw this up. We're talking about rich billionaires, so they probably will. But I'm just praying, like, if I gotta sit through another DC, I'll be honest, if I gotta sit through another DC reboot, I think I'm out. I think in terms of following it, watching those, I think I'm done. I cannot do another, we're gonna start over and bring in a new Superman and bring in another Batman and bring in another Wonder Woman and do this thing over again. We can't live through that world again. I'm just praying that that's not what we're going through. But anything's on the table now, because Warner Discovery has new owners. There's a lot of other major issues with this that people are concerned about. Like, will this become basically a political propaganda arm for the White House? Those are concerns that are probably founded. For the sake of this show, my concern is please do not screw up this James Gunn universe that's being created, that we just got introduced to. That is pretty good. It's pretty good. And I think there's some people who don't like it, but even those people I think would understand. It would be stupid to say, let's just start over after you just already began introducing this new Superman with David Corn Sweat. Brosnahan, of course, playing Lois Lane. Like, again, the universe they introduced has teeth to it. It has a life to it. I thought Lex Luthor was phenomenal in the past movie. Like, I want to see that continue. We got a Man of Tomorrow movie coming out, I think, next year or the year after. Like, I want to see that too. Don't screw this up, man. Do not screw this up. We'll see. Like I said, it's multi-millionaires and billionaires who will do whatever the hell they want. So who's to say what's going to happen with this? Bob Custer. My grandfather, 2 uncles, and aunts all worked at Warner's. Lived in Burbank until I was 13. Great town, great studio, lots of movie biz employees. I do want to make one thing clear. I know I've kind of had a little fun with this topic. I do feel whenever there's any kind of takeover, buying, merger, whatever, somebody's losing jobs. So I do feel bad for the folks that work at Warner who maybe they would have been out of jobs anyway because Netflix was coming, but maybe for the people that would have kept their jobs and now won't keep their jobs, forget about even DC stuff, just all the people that are involved with this library, because the library is huge and the ownership rights they have now are huge. Anybody that's going to be affected by this, it's a tough day. It's going to be a tough couple of years because this thing has to get approved, and sometimes that takes time. But I'm hoping that as many people as possible can keep their jobs, and that's the part of this that does suck. Because with consolidation comes less jobs. If there's anybody that knows that right now, it's me, right? Everybody has an Affinity Sports Network because of what happened with us and a lot of people there. But it's a reality of this that is real. These are real people. And these are we yell about the creatives or yell about, this new show on Food Network I can't stand or I like, or this new movie on HBO that I like. And, we can yell, scream about whether it's good or bad content. But at the end of the day, these are humans that are giving us this content. These are artists. These are creatives. These are even executives and business people who are putting, their careers on the line for these companies. And then here you go, another merger comes around, and a lot of those people could be at risk. So I'm praying for those folks. That's something that always becomes a real factor when you have these conversations about big corporate takeovers, because that's what you're gonna have. It's a big deal. I'm reading this in terms of Paramount's plans for DC. This is from comicbookmovie.com. I'll share my screen here. So this one's black. It's only a matter of time for somebody who's like, yo, you've shown us a lot. I'm not doing this anymore. Oh, he showed up. Okay. Yeah, this has been a good day. Anyway. So according to Bloomberg, Paramount intends to keep much of the company intact, with Chief Executive Officer and controlling shareholder David Ellison set to keep the creative teams of both Warner Brothers Pictures and HBO in place. That likely bodes well for DC Studios co-CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran. Sorry if that's scrolling up. It just scrolled up for me. The biggest change would be consolidation of marketing and distribution teams. Interestingly, Ellison plans to merge HBO Max into the existing Paramount Plus streaming service. So HBO Max would be no more, creating one service featuring the libraries of both companies to make Paramount Plus more compelling for subscribers. Ugh, that sucks. And I guess it doesn't really, I don't know if it really matters, but like Paramount, like HBO is HBO is a brand that is iconic. I don't know if people think Paramount like that. So to see, Game of Thrones coming to you now on Paramount Plus, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be really weird. But this is where we're at this point. So that's good news in terms of the DC aspect. Hopefully they keep their word. I don't trust people in these places, so that's the reality. So do I trust that that's gonna happen? I don't know, but I hope it does. I hope that does happen. I'll be real. Rob's got jokes in the chat. How you feel about the Saudi Crown funding Wayne Enterprises with Jared Kushner as the chairman board of the Bates Corporation in Gotham? There's no way that Bruce Wayne is Saudi money. That's one thing about like Wayne Enterprises they've always done a good job of, is they've always found a way to make Bruce's money like clean. Like he always seems to he doesn't invest in like weapons programs. He doesn't invest in certain things. And no, he will always get recruited, like business people of like these like nefarious means will always try to recruit Wayne Enterprises, and they always make it a point in the comics or TV shows to say Wayne Enterprises doesn't do X, Y, and Z. Like it's part of like their policy to make it known that hey, like yes, this is Batman, and yeah, he may have his own gadgets and weapons, but he's not like funding weapons for other people. He's not funding weapons for countries that are war torn or have like human rights issues. Like they make it very clear that Wayne Enterprises is a very progressive company from that standpoint, even though it's run by a billionaire, which is very unrealistic. But it's comics. It's all a crazy, unrealistic world that's been created. Before we get to Traitors, okay, I want to say that for the end. There is a promotion happening for the Atlanta Hawks that I can't believe. I can't believe it because it's Atlanta, but I still can't believe it because it's the NBA. So a huge Atlanta staple is being honored on March 16th this year when the Hawks play against the Orlando Magic. I'm going to emphasize they're playing the Magic. So what do you think is being honored in this random game between two Southeast Division foes? Magic City. The Atlanta Hawks on March 16th are set to honor the famous establishment, the gentleman's club that is Magic City in Atlanta. I promise you this is not a fake story. I had to actually click on the story and read it multiple times to make sure this was not fake. So I was like, this can't be real, right? Are you serious? But this is real. If you go to a game with the Atlanta Hawks on March 16th, they will be honoring Magic City. So you say, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, there'll be merchandise. There'll be food, because Magic City is known for their famous wings, particularly lemon pepper wings. There's a wing that's named after Lou Williams. That will be served at the game. All things Magic City will be celebrated at this event, which is going to be on March 16th. If you're in the Atlanta area, you can go to this game and watch the Hawks celebrate Magic City. I don't think they're wearing any special Magic City uniforms or anything like that, but this is happening. And I'm going to read you guys some of the quotes in terms of why this is happening, but this is a reality. And it says here, as the screen loads here, this is a quote from the owner of the team, Jamie Gertz, who said, "This collaboration and theme night is very meaningful to me after all the work we did to put together Magic City and American Fantasy. The iconic Atlanta institution has made such an incredible impact on our city and its unique culture." So Gertz is one of the producers of a 5-part Stars docuseries, an American Fantasy that explored Magic City and American Fantasy that explored the club's history and its place in hip hop and black culture. The Hawks are planning to bring in Atlanta native T.I. to perform at halftime. There will be a special live pregame recording of a podcast about the club, the impact it has on music, culture, and sports. Again, Magic City will be serving 2 versions of the lemon pepper wings, including the ones named after former Hawks guard Lou Williams. T.I. said, quote, "We doing this one for the city, Magic City." I'm surprised this is being allowed. I'm being real, and I guess shout out to the commissioner, who I assume understands that this is what the people of Atlanta, the Hawks fans, want and they support. This becomes a two Americas deal. where I don't know if it's appropriate for what is a family atmosphere. It's supposed to be at an NBA game to celebrate a strip club. But this is what's going to happen on March 16th. Now, what I will say about Magic City, I've never been. Fun fact about me, I've never been to a strip club ever in my entire life. And some people are saying, yo, you're lying. I don't know. Some people maybe think it's real because I've kind of wear my heart on my sleeve in terms of like my interests. Like I love superheroes, I love video games. Like I'm not someone who's been to Magic City at all. So I have never been to Magic City. I've never been to a strip club. What people who either are from Atlanta or have been to Magic City or I guess frequent strip clubs will tell me is Magic City really is more than just a strip club. That it really is like the food is like really good and like people will go and get wings and just go home. That is the idea of Magic City, apparently. And that is what Lou Williams said when he famously, he definitely got fined. I don't remember if he got suspended, but if you remember during the NBA bubble, when it's the NBA's having the bubble, it's COVID, so they're trying to keep everybody intact and make sure nobody is having any contact with the outside world because they want to have the season go on without people testing positive, and they were able to do it, which was quite impressive. We talked about this with Zach Gelb a couple days ago. Where I said that was probably Zach Gelb said besides Donald Sterling, what did he do? And I said probably everything that happened with the bubble all worked. This was a big time of social unrest in the country. And he allowed the players to protest in a way that I don't think really impacted the league. It impacted it because it just, people feel how they feel, unfortunately. But it's a reality. But I think the like Zach said, like the uproar and the chaos that kind of ensued with like the conversation around the NFL didn't quite seem to happen with the NBA as much. There were some big deals though. Remember the Bucks sat out a game after one of the police shootings in Wisconsin. There were some big moments, but it didn't seem to be quite as dominant over the discourse. It seemed to be more about the games and the teams during that time. But during that stretch, during the bubble, Lou Williams, who was playing for the Clippers, he had a close friend, maybe he was in a family, I don't remember, but someone close to him had passed away. Lou Williams is from Atlanta. He's playing for the Clippers at the time. And he gets special permission to go to, I guess, whatever funeral that was happening and then come back. He goes, and then somebody takes a picture of him outside of the line in a very packed Magic City apparently looking for some wings. People were like, is this Lou Williams for the Los Angeles Clippers who's supposed to be in the bubble at Magic City? Turns out it was. He got disciplined for it, and it was a big story. It was like, yo, man, like, you're going because you have a family, thing happen to you, and then you're going to a strip club. And that's where the conversation began about, well, Magic City is a strip club, but it's more than a strip club. You can go there for food, and people literally just go there and go to the takeout window and order wings and go home. And again, for people who aren't familiar with Atlanta or familiar with Magic City, it sounds like BS because you're like, isn't the whole idea that the strip club food is awful? Like, isn't that like literally one of the first things you learn about strip clubs is the people who go there that go eat their like medium rare steak on a Tuesday afternoon are complete psychopaths? Because who the hell goes to a strip club to actually have meals? That is what you get told by any person that talks about adult entertainment in that way. So it seemed like nonsense, but the people from Atlanta who know Magic City, like, no, this is a place where the food is actually gourmet. Like, it's really good. So, and then there are people trying to defend Lou Williams, being like, hey, man, he's got to eat. He's got to eat some food. Like, yeah, okay, he's going to a funeral. He's not going to go to a funeral and not eat anywhere and then come back. He's got to eat somewhere. So he went to a strip club. What's the big deal? It was a big deal. He went to a strip club that was so packed. It didn't seem like people were, it was a strip club. So that, I don't know if people were wearing masks. Like, it was not, didn't seem like whatever the COVID standards that the NBA had set for the bubble were clearly not being set at Magic City. I don't think there was going to be social distancing at a strip club. That's just my expectation. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I would assume. So, Magic City is a big part of Atlanta culture. We learned, if you didn't know by then, you definitely learned during the NBA bubble because of the controversy that became a national story with Lou Williams. So, I guess that's why this is going to happen and be okay. Again, I'm just surprised because the NBA, And I'm not trying to be a, what's the word, a prude. I'm not trying to be a gee whiz EJ. And I think this is hilarious. So I'm happy they're doing it. But I do feel like, I mean, it is supposed to be a family entertainment product, the NBA. So to have a promotion night where you're promoting, I know it's a place where you can buy wings. I'm sure there are kids in Atlanta who have had Magic City wings for their entire life. So again, just maybe it's just not that big a deal, and this is a Two Americas deal. But it just seems strange. It seems strange, but this is something that will actually happen. I find it insane that this is what's going to happen. But the Orlando Magic will travel to the Atlanta Hawks on March 16th to play in a game where Magic City will be honored for its cultural relevance to the culture. Wow. That's all I can say. Rob DeRay in the chat. You seem to know a lot about Magic City's offerings. Hope mother-in-law Carolyn isn't, you spelled Carolyn wrong the first time, you got it right the second time, isn't tuning in. I don't think Carolyn would really care, number one. Two, yeah, it's my job to know what's going on because I was a producer and working during the time when all this stuff was happening. So I was working at that time at New York 1. So I think we actually might have covered this at New York 1, if I'm not mistaken. And then we've had a bunch of other stories about Magic City since because Lou Williams has now become infamous for this Magic City incident. So yes, I did know Magic City's offerings. Also, if anybody knows me, I am a wing connoisseur. Wings are my favorite food. Wings, I always say, what's my like Mount Rushmore foods? Wings, pizza, nachos. Fourth one's tough. I think the fourth one is ribs. I think it's ribs. That'd be my 4. But I love myself some ham. I love myself some mac and cheese. Those are tough ones to leave off. But if it was like, all right, EJ, you get like 4 foods for the rest of your life that you can eat, what foods are you ordering? I think I say, okay, give me all options for pizza. Give me some buffalo wings. Give me some ribs. And what was the fourth one I had? I forgot the other. Oh, and give me some, what's the name? Nachos. I think that's what I would go with. So I know about Mad City's offerings for wings because they've become infamous, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I should go next time we and Andre are in Atlanta. Maybe we should pick up some wings. I'm dead serious. But no, I've never been to a strip club. It's a good cover with the never been to a strip club line. It's not a cover. It's true. Like, hook me up to a lie detector or whatever. I've never been to a strip club. I don't think it's one of those things where like, oh, like I'm so offended by them that I wouldn't go to one. I wouldn't go to one now as a guy who's going to get engaged, but it's not some. I don't know. It's just not. That's never been something I've ever wanted to do. Maybe this is somewhere where EJ, the young sports fan who was, you talk about, knowing the offerings of Magic City. Like I was someone who was, as Mike Francesa famously said when he said he didn't know who Stan Lee was. He was like, I was reading the newspaper. I kind of was reading the newspaper. I also was reading comic books and watching comic book cartoons. I loved being a kid, and that's why I still love Marvel and DC and superhero stuff. But no, I legit was reading the sports section every day in the Daily News when I was a kid. And ask my parents. It's true. So, unfortunately, because they're grown men and professional athletes, you hear the stories of this guy, was caught up in a shootout that happened at a strip club, or this athlete got in trouble because of a 2 a.m. encounter at a strip club. Like I saw those over and over and over again as a kid growing up. Remember, I'm a kid who watched the NBA during the early 2000s, which means I'm watching Steven Jackson, hearing the stories of him shooting the gun up outside the strip club. Like I'm watching the Jailblazers, who are recently going to have soon a documentary about them on Untold for this new season of Untold on Netflix. So you learn very quickly about some of these adult things just following sports the way I was. Because I wasn't just someone who's like, oh, my favorite player is, I don't know, Tracy McGrady or whatever. And that's all. I wouldn't know all the information about everything happening in the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball. So with that comes, to me, like I kept hearing all these stories about how terrible like these incidents were happening at strip clubs. I'm like, I mean, I love women, but I was just like, seems like a dangerous situation. Seems like a dangerous place to be. I don't know if I want to be someplace where a fight can ensue or gunshots can be rang out. So I think maybe when I was young, it kind of just automatically turned me off of going to one, and I've never been to one. Again, I'm not saying I never would ever do one. I wouldn't say, hey guys, great idea to go to a strip club. I think we should do this. Like, I don't know how Andre would feel if I had friends. I would assume she wouldn't want me to go. I would assume. I don't know. But if I had a friend or someone who had a bachelor party, they say, oh, we're going to a strip club. Like, I wouldn't be that thrilled. To be honest, again, it's not my scene. I'm not a club scene guy. I don't go to clubs. I don't really go to bars. I don't drink. So that scene is not my scene. That nightclub scene is just never going to be my scene. So, not a cover. It's just a reality. I've never been to a strip club. And if it's up to me, if I get to choose everything, it's not someone having to make me go. Again, I'm part of a group that goes, whatever. I would never go to a strip club. I understand the appeal. I respect those who have the appeal. And I respect sex workers in general. But it's not something that I would probably do. Just being real. We got to talk about Traitors, man. Traitors season finale 4 was last night. This was awesome. This was I thought a great season finale. Again, I will say this is the portion of the show that will have spoilers. So if you're afraid of spoilers and you don't want to know what happened on Traitors season 4 finale last night, which is on Peacock right now, I would say thanks for watching. I'll see you later tonight at 6 p.m. for 40 Days and 40 Nights for Kendall Fridays. If you are not worried about spoilers, or you don't have any interest in ever watching the show, or maybe there's some people, I always say this on 48 on New Generation Hero Talk, I always say there's some people who actually want to hear spoilers, and then they actually then say, oh, that sounds interesting, I want to go watch it. I don't really understand those people. Andrea's one of those people. I don't really get it. I don't know why I'd want to know spoilers and then want to watch the show. But there are people like that. I've met them, multiple people that are like that. Oh, I don't care. I want to watch this. And now, like, your opinion on it will determine whether or not I want to watch it. So, like, okay, seems weird, but, you know, to each his own. So if you're one of those folks, you're saying, hey, EJ keeps talking about this show, and I want to hear how this thing ended to see if this is actually worth my time, or maybe it'll be worth my time for season 5. You want to hang out, then sit back and relax. We're going to talk some Traitors for the last 10, 15 minutes of the show. It'll be fun. So Traitors season finale was last night. So what I didn't talk about last week was the episode last week, which was crazy. Because it was, as I back up quickly before getting to last week's episode, the concept of this show, which I explained weeks ago, but I'll make it quickly one more time, is essentially a big whodunit reality competition show where they send, I believe, 20 people. They're all celebrities. Brad Pitt's not there, but like all like B-list, C-list, D-list type celebrities, comedians, Real Housewives people, chefs, actors, these people, you know, band members, all those kind of people. They send 20 people into a house. 3 people are designated as quote-unquote traitors, who each night get to quote-unquote murder one of the faithfuls, the rest of the people that are in the house, and eliminate them every episode. The goal for the traitors is to eliminate as many faithfuls as possible so that by the end, when the final vote is cast, a traitor is still present and therefore they win all the money. If you're a faithful and you're not a traitor, the goal is you have each episode a banishment vote where you sit at literally a round table and you get to vote on who is the person among all of you, because no one knows who the traitors are except for the traitors. You get to vote among all of you who is the traitor you want to vote out for that week. People are trying to defend themselves, like they don't know who the traitors are, so people are like, hey, I'm a faithful, don't vote me out. And there are people who are traitors saying, hey, I'm faithful, don't vote me out, because they're trying to pretend like they're not traitors. I hope that makes sense. That's essentially the goal. And the rest of the episodes are filled with challenges where they can win X amount of money. And through the challenges sometimes you can win like certain like protections where you can't get voted out for one day, or you can't get murdered for one day, or maybe you get 2 votes at the round table. There's various different challenges they have where you're earning money and earning essentially like, you know, different kind of, advantages for the game. So that's the goal. This has been a game that's been quite interesting. There's been traitors turning on traitors. Faithfuls have had a very hard time figuring out who the traitors were. And last week, it looked like they were closing in. The Faithfuls looked like they had it. And I'll quickly show you who they are. So you had the Faithfuls. This woman, Maura Higgins from Love Island. You had Johnny Weir, former Olympic skater. You had Tara Lipinski, Olympic gold medalist, also Olympic skater. And last week you also had this woman, if I can find her, because she's in a different section, because she got eliminated, which I'll explain why in a second. You had this woman who is named, oops, no, don't want that up there. Yeah. Natalie, there you go. So these were the people that were in last week. This woman got eliminated, but it shouldn't have happened because they figured out who the traitors were. Natalie and Tara Lipinski, who I had up earlier. Mind you, Tara Lipinski has been one of the real liabilities during this show. Shout out to Tara Lipinski, a American hero, an American icon. But for a long stretch of the show, she just seemed clueless. She just seemed to not know anything or have really any thoughts on where things were moving. She had been a liability. She was kind of killing the team. She was kind of dead weight. Pretty good in the challenges because she's athletic, but when it came to actually figuring out who traitors were, bad instincts. But all of a sudden, of all the people, Tara figures it out that this guy, Rob from Love Island, is one of the traitors. Now, this guy turned on his fellow traitors, Lisa Rinna and Candace from Real Housewives, and found a way to get them out of the mix. And now he remained the only traitor until he recruited this guy, Eric, who also was bad at this game. He was a faithful, and he twice spoke up at the round table and lobbied for faithfuls to be eliminated, even though he was a faithful. One time he said, oh, I heard a voice that sounded like this person, Tiffany, even though it was Candace who was the traitor. And another one was like, I know this handwriting and it's this person and it was Rob. He's just clueless, completely clueless. So midway through the season, he had an opportunity to either, or not really midway, kind of later in the season, he was going to die because he was going to get killed off because it was just an easy way to kill him off. They were like, Rob was like, you can either join me as another traitor or die. So he decided to join Rob. So these two were traitors. Again, Tara Lipinski figures it out that Rob is a traitor. Rob is this Southern brother. I'm just a laid-back Southern guy. I'm not into I'm not a traitor. I just come here and just hang out and I'm just trying to just make friends with everybody. And this man is obviously a traitor. And so obvious to everybody else. Everybody else who's watching the show. But none of the people in the house. And what's odd is that no one really seriously considers like the possibility that he could be a traitor. I mentioned how he had this beef with Candace, one of the fellow traitors. Rob made the decision to turn on Lisa Rinna, the former actress who then, of course, now a Real Housewife. And Candace was upset about that. And they turned on each other. Candace, during 2 banishment votes, voted for Rob as a sign to the rest of the, faithfuls to get Rob out. Which seemed very weird, but the beef was so real that she didn't even care how it looked. She just wanted them to vote Rob out so he couldn't win. At this point, it was like, if I'm going to lose, you're going to lose too. That's how much the beef got real for this relationship. So he's been very obviously a traitor. There's all these hints that he's a traitor, but nobody seems to pick up on it because he's just got this Southern charm and these light green eyes, and he's just this pretty boy. And they're just like, there's no way it can be Rob. He's too lovable. And he's been a traitor the entire time. So we entered last week's vote, where again, I mentioned that girl Natalie, who was still in the mix. Her and Tara Lipinski realized, I think Rob's the traitor. We got to figure out a way to gather all the votes to ensure that we can get Rob out. With the way the voting was going to turn out, the best they could do was come up to a tie And even the tie was going to be risky because you didn't know if you were going to get all the people on your team. But instead of going to the tie and just going through tiebreakers to eventually get him out, Tara Lipinski decides, I'm just going to pull the chute without telling Natalie I'm pulling the chute and just not say anything and not make the case that Rob should be the traitor. Natalie flips out. She then goes ballistic, like, why are you turning on me? Why are you not going through with the plan? And then she's like, well, I think you're a traitor now, which was just nonsensical. So then it turned all the heat onto Natalie because the traitors already decided they were going to try to get Natalie out. Now Natalie's acting, frantic and acting insane because, legitimately, because she had a plan that then was not being executed when the game started because Tara Lipinski had cold feet. So it was very easy for everyone there. It was like, well, you're being very weird now, Natalie, so we're getting you out of here. And of course, Natalie reveals herself to be a faithful. So they're like, oh, we effed that up. So then now, one more faithful vote is gone heading into the final episode. And Rob is now clearly, obviously looks like a traitor. He's with Eric, who also seems like he's a traitor because this guy is super quiet and he's doing a terrible job of acting normal now that he's a traitor before being a faithful. And the problem is they have this woman, Maura. Maura seems like a very lovely Irish lady. She seems nice. But she just had a tough time with this show. She trusted Rob. They had some rapport that was very obvious. I don't know if there's any kind of romantic thing, but she was loving this guy. She's like, there's no way Rob could be a traitor. She has this very thick Irish accent. And she just got lost in this man. And because of that, Rob knew throughout the entire game that he always had Maura's vote and Maura's support. So that was locked down, which is why the previous episode was so stupid that Natalie and Tara particularly did not just fight for their best shot to get Rob out, which is to try to have a tiebreaker vote and to see what happens after the tiebreaker. There was no way you were going to turn this woman on that handsome Southern gentleman. It just was never going to happen. But they fought. Now Natalie's gone. Now that's one less vote. And then, because again, how the show works, now you lost a faithful. Now the traitors have a night where they can then murder another person on the show, which is then what they did. So then they murder another person. So now you lose another potential vote because they murdered this guy, Mark, who also was a pretty good player in the game. And he also was kind of having more eyes on Rob, not 100% sure, but he was way more open than Maura. They had any chance to turn anybody's going to be this guy. And then he gets killed, which again was smart gameplay by the traitors. That's how this show began, was that this guy got killed. So you're in the finale. So again, now you got the group, and I'll show you the group as a whole. Last round table, you got these five. Tara Lipinski at the top. On top left, you got Rob, the traitor from the beginning, who has still somehow found a way to remain in this game. Bottom left, Johnny Weir. Eric Nam on the bottom right, and then Maura on the right-hand side here. Those are the final traitors at this final round table. When you get to the round table for the final one, after every round table, people have to reveal whether or not they're a traitor or a faithful. This is now the point in the game where nobody reveals anything. You get banished, you just go home. There is no, hey, by the way, I'm a traitor, or hey, by the way, I'm a faithful. That doesn't happen. So we get to this round table. Prior to this, again, it becomes obvious to now finally Tara and Johnny that Rob is a obvious traitor and that he's working with Eric. Because Eric is quiet, Eric is shifty, he doesn't seem to be working well in this role, he seems to be quite obvious. And Maura, because Maura is just lovely old Maura, she couldn't fake being a traitor because you see the way she plays this game. There's no way she could have been a traitor. So they're like, we know it's not Maura, we know it's those two guys. So now our best bet, our only shot, is to turn Maura on Eric, which was the best plan B option for them because she was never going to turn on Rob. But Eric was just very sketchy. It seemed very obvious that he was a traitor. So Tara has a conversation with Maura multiple times throughout this episode to be like, listen, okay, you think Rob's not a traitor, whatever. We have to get Eric out. Like, Eric is clearly the traitor. We have to get him out. like, look at me in the eyes and tell me you'll vote for Eric. And she's like, yeah, you're right. It makes a lot of sense. You got to get Eric out. I understand. They have this round table. Tara and Johnny present their case for why Eric is a traitor. He's not doing a very good job of defending himself. He's essentially being like, oh, I'm quiet because I just like to, let other people talk, and I'm just trying to be consistent, when he wasn't. Earlier in the show, again, he kept speaking up to be like, I gotta say something. This person, I heard them talking in the woods, and they sounded like a traitor when they weren't. Or I see this handwriting, it means it's this person when he wasn't. He had the worst instincts. For him to come out and say, oh, I was quiet this whole time, didn't even make sense. And you would think, if Maura was paying attention to the show, she would say his story is not lining up. And they get to the vote, and I'll be honest, I actually was like, wow, maybe she will vote for Eric. I don't know how this is going to end, but she may vote for Eric, and she votes for Eric. While he won't reveal he's a traitor, now it becomes a 2-on-2 where it's even, and it becomes tricky about how Rob finishes up and wins this game if he can. They get to the vote. She votes for Johnny. And I'm like, oh no. And now to be clear, throughout the whole episode, Rob and Eric were trying to push that we got to vote for Johnny. Again, their reasons didn't seem to make any sense. They were basically like, well, one of these skaters has to be the traitor, and one of them is probably, working the other. Like, one of them thinks that one of them is a faithful, but one of them is probably a traitor, and they've been using it the whole time, and it's probably Johnny, because Tara seems too nervous to be a faithful. Like, she wouldn't be, a traitor. She wouldn't be able to lie and do that, but I think Johnny could. Again, didn't make much sense for them to reveal their relationship to be that close. Because at that point in time, like, they would have been, it just didn't make sense. The theory didn't make sense. Again, Maura would have seen that. I know Maura, she was in the post show being like, yeah, I see it now. It all looks so dumb to me. I feel like a dumb person. Now, I want to be clear. Like, nobody's dumb. I mean, she played a bad game. She's not good at this game. But I hate when people, again, social media, they want to just come on and just say, like, the worst things about people. I was like, it's just a game or it's just a reality show. Like, it's not that serious. But from the game, just talk about the game. Like, yes, Maura had a tough time. And she looks back and says, I feel like so stupid watching this back because it looks so obvious what's going on. But they pitched Johnny for a theory that just made no sense. So Johnny gets banished. So Johnny's banished, and then he can't reveal that he's a faithful. So now we're down to 4, which essentially becomes a 3-on-1. Because with Johnny now off the grid, Tara Lipinski, who her and Johnny were basically a voting block and a team, they are now split up. So it's Tara by herself. So you kind of knew at this point, all right, this game is pretty much cooked. Like, there's very little shot that Tara's going to find a way to win. Because even if she finds a way to turn her on Eric, is she really going to vote against Rob, who she keeps saying she has all this faith and confidence in that he is indeed a faithful? Seemed unlikely. But you come down to your final 4. So you got Rob, again, this handsome, charming man who's a traitor, who, if he couldn't see at this point, he literally has snakes tattooed on his body on a show called Traitors. It could not be more on the nose. But he made it this far as a traitor the whole time, murdering people, turning on people, and nobody realizing that this guy was a traitor the entire time because he's got this handsome face and these muscles and this charming southern disposition. So you're with Maura. You got Tara Lipinski, who's now on her own, as the 2 faithfuls left, but one faithful in Maura is so mesmerized by Rob, it's almost like you don't have a faithful. You have, of course, Maura as well, coming into the final vote here, and then you got Eric. I was like, oh man, this is not good news for Tara. But Tara once again goes back, tries to make the case tomorrow. Listen, okay, you screwed up that vote, but please, at this point in time, vote with me to get Eric out. I promise you, he's a traitor. Maura's like, yeah, you're probably right. My bad. All right, we'll go into the vote and we'll get Eric out. She goes into the vote. She votes Tara out. And how the last round works is essentially like there's 4 people left. So you all get to decide 2 things. You can either decide to end the game right then and there, because you feel like all of the quote-unquote faithfuls are left and you guys can split the money. Or you can decide to vote for another banishment right then and there because you think that there's a traitor left. Because you're a faithful, the only way you win is if all the traitors are gone. You cannot win if any traitors are left remaining. That's how the game goes. So with 4 people left, you want to try to eliminate all of the traitors. That's the goal of the faithfuls. If you're a traitor, the goal is just to survive. But with a 2-on-2, but really it's more of a 3-on-1, it seemed like the traitors were in good shape. Mora goes into a vote, says they all agree obviously to vote again because the traitors are trying to whittle this down to as few people as possible so they can get more money. They're like, Tara's the last faithful, let's get her out of here. We get her out of here, we get more money, that's good for us. Mora, who said she was not going to vote for Tara, then votes for Tara. I just don't know what she's doing at this point. I don't think she knows what she's doing at this point. Johnny again, Rob is telling her, listen, we got to vote for Tara now. Like, we got one of them out, now we got to vote the other one. Which again, doesn't make sense, because earlier you were saying that one of them has to be the traitor. Now you're saying both of them have the traitors. Mora not even picking up on this. Is like, oh, okay, handsome Southern man. So she votes Tara out. It's like, oh my gosh, she voted Tara out. So now both traitors are left in the game. Rob is left. Eric is left. And then Mora is left there. So now again, you get to vote again. Do you decide to end the game here? Or do you decide to vote again to banish somebody? So Eric votes to end the game because there's no one that would vote against them in theory left. So therefore we won. We won the game. It's over. Even if Mara's here, we still get all the money. Mara gets nothing. Mara still votes someone out because she decides she wants to vote out Eric now. Because I guess now she decides, well, I think you're a traitor now. And then this man, this devious man, voted to banish again. And what it meant for him to vote to banish again meant that he was then able, because Mora and him were lockstep in every vote, he was able to banish his other fellow traitor, Eric, who helped him get to this point. Banish him so he gets no money. And Rob is then in the position to get the entire $220,000 left on the table. Rob, I gotta tell you, man, you had a lot of haters on the internet. I was not one of them. I saw your gameplay king. Bravo. Epic gameplay. He just played the whole situation like a fiddle. He had Eric with him the whole time. They were all working together, trying to sway Mara. And once they voted out Johnny, it was in a conversation where Mara's like, listen, you have to promise me at the end of this. Because, again, Rob's playing her. We're going to win. We're so close. We're getting all the traitors out. And Mara's like, okay, one thing, you got to promise me that you will vote Eric out. That we got to get Eric out because I think he's a traitor. And Rob's like, okay, sure. And then once the vote happened where Tara got eliminated, knowing that Mara had already committed to him that she thought Eric was a traitor, but she did not think he was a traitor, he knew that as long as Tara was gone, the money was his, and he took the opportunity. And man, and Eric, he's sitting there, he's like, ah, man, that sucks. Like that was a low move. And basically, it was a difference of $100,000. Do you, as Rob said, do you give $100,000 to somebody you just met 3 weeks ago when it's right there in your hands, is right there for you? The game is called Traitors, and Gabos, Eric, game made based on sympathy. Eric gets banished. So once there's 2 game players left, that's when it gets finally revealed what the true identities are. So Mara, of course, is like, I'm a faithful. Oh my God, I just won. I'm so excited. I can't wait. This is going to be amazing. And then you have the moment where she then gets to hear Rob reveal his true identity. He reveals, I'm a traitor. That's Mora's face. And I'll be honest, it was tough to watch. It was funny. It was entertaining. But it was tough to watch because you watch this woman just be mesmerized by this man with all the red flags that showed that he was obviously a traitor, and she could not see past it. She could not see past it. And she really thought going into this final moment that she was gonna win $100,000 because she played this game so well. And in reality, she could not have played the game worse because she banished all faithfuls and then kept one traitor, banished another traitor that allowed another traitor to get more money. And she felt bad in the moment. It seemed like during the reunion last night, she still feels bad about it. And I feel bad because people are, oh, you're so dumb and stuff again. You don't want to get personal and stuff. But this was a rough look. I mean, look at that face. That is a face of complete, utter shock, which is so crazy. And I know we're watching the show, like, with the information that he is a traitor, but, like, it's like you did not see how this all worked out. You didn't see how this could have potentially happened. It's unbelievable. So Rob wins. Rob wins. Rob is the last traitor standing. He wins all of the money. $220,000+ goes to him. And like I said, man, we're going to hit it again because he deserves it. Bravo. Just phenomenal work. I know there have been people who have been hating on Rob, saying, oh, he wasn't that smart. The Faithfuls were dumb. And I'll be clear. Faithfuls played a terrible game. They played a terrible game. I thought that last week the Natalie Tara blow up was the choke job. That was the moment. That was you have your one shot. They already were behind the 8 ball because the numbers were not looking great. But that was their shot if they had any shot to get this guy out. And instead, somehow they turned on each other and then banished another faithful, which then allowed the traitors to banish another faithful and murder them later that night. I mean, that was the way the game was lost. But people try to hate on Rob because they think that he, was deceitful, he didn't play the right way, or he shouldn't have banished his own traitors. And this guy was a master. He did a phenomenal job. There were very few mistakes this guy made. He made it hard on the faithfuls to win. It wasn't like they didn't do anything to win, but he didn't make it easy on them. He deserves all this money. He did a spectacular job. And bravo to him, man. One more time. Bravo to this guy, Rob. Did not know who the hell this guy was until 3 weeks ago. But I'm familiar with your game now, Rob. And you go down as one of the greatest traitors of all time. I've only seen this one season. But that's what other people are saying. And I can't imagine other people who have done that much better. The work to work more against Eric to get all of the money. We already knew he was probably going to win by the time he got to that final banishment vote with Tara and Eric and Maura. Like, you knew, okay, this is... Unless Maura does something that we don't expect, which is to actually wake up and understand what's going on, Rob's in pretty good shape to leave here with some money. The fact that he was able to then he had someone so wrapped around his finger, a faithful so wrapped around his finger, that he was able to use them against his other traitors to get all the money. Oh, man. I saw that, I was like, oh. And I realized it late, but once they went in, I was like, oh, my God, if Tara gets voted out here, Rob, in theory, could get Eric out of here. Now, the question is he cold-blooded enough? Is he cold-blooded enough to say, the guy that helped me get here, that guy that I recruited to be a traitor, I will throw him off of this roof to get all of the money? Turned out the answer was yes. Bravo, man. Awesome stuff. I thought this was a great show, a great season. Shout out to Traitors, one of my new favorite shows now. I'll be locked in for season 4. I need season 5. I need season 5 yesterday. Andrea's like, well, you don't have a job. Maybe you should go apply to be on Traitors. It's not the worst idea in the world. They keep promoting, hey, we're looking for regular people now. We're not going to put celebrities on this next season, which part of me is kind of sad. I think that there's an appeal to having celebrities on here. I don't know if I would have been into this. I don't know if I would have been into this if this was all just random people from the country. I don't know. Maybe I watch other reality TV, but I don't know. I think that fact that Michael Rappaport and Donna Kelsey, some people I was familiar with in this, I was like, this is bizarre, but I want to watch this. That got me hooked. The show itself is just really good. So part of me is like, maybe it doesn't matter. Now that I'm hooked, I'll watch whoever does this show. But should your boy join Traitors? Should I join? Should I try to apply? I have nothing against applying. I would do this. I'm worried about my physical health, there are physical challenges. You got to run, you got to swim, you got to do certain things. And I do have this knee issue. I don't know when they shoot this thing, but I don't know if I'm like in the best physical condition to do all these physical challenges that they have to do sometimes. So that would worry me a little bit. I don't want to get injured doing something like this. But I love the gameplay of it. Like Andrea is someone, she hates escape rooms. She hates obstacle courses. So even though she's the one that originally brought me on the show, she loves this show. She would never do this thing. So I would never do this thing. I hate obstacle courses. I hate puzzles. I hate all those things. So I'm not doing this. I love watching it. I watch these people do this, but I don't want to be a part of it. It's too stressful. And she also hates group projects. So having to work in a group and work in a team would also be something she would hate. So she's like, I wouldn't do it, but you could do this. And I told you one of my lifelong goals to be on Wipeout, and that ended obviously when I tore my patella tendon. I was like, that damn sure ain't happening. That is a health risk. Yeah, this, it is, again, it's physical. It's not like you're gonna, do something insane physical, but there's enough physical activity where I'm like, I don't know if I could run up a hill or run a mile. Like, I don't know if I can do all those things right now. Can I do it by the time they film? Maybe. I don't know. But I love this season. Probably wouldn't hurt to apply. The worst they could do is go and say, oh, you're not physically cleared, sorry, and then you move on. But Rob, man, he was awesome. Awesome season. I can't wait for season 5. I kind of want to go back and watch the other old seasons because I haven't been spoiled too much of who have won other seasons. I kind of want to go back and watch other seasons, see how this game is played otherwise. But awesome job by Rob. That's a good place to leave the show, man. I want to thank you guys for checking out this episode of 40 Days and 40 Nights. It's Kendall Fridays. So my brother Kendall Sewell will be with me live later today. That'll be a lot of fun. This will wrap up week 7 of 40 Days and 40 Nights, which means after today, we enter the final week of this journey of 40 Days and 40 Nights. It's been a fun journey, man. And again, it's not going to be the end of me on New Generation Media or doing content. I'll be doing something. It'll be the end of me doing this daily content for you guys for twice per day, which has been, again, a thrill and a fun challenge and a fun just opportunity to reconnect with some friends, reconnect with some listeners, and people who have watched me and watched my content and watched work that I've done on multiple platforms, whether it been WFAN, whether it been Maggie and Perloff, whether it been people who have been rocking with us on New Generation Media, or there's just been friends who just followed me on social media and know that I do this thing. It's been great opportunity to do this, and it's been a blast. Quote John Lean here. Yes, I hope you all have a great weekend as well. But before your weekend ends, check out your boy. If you got a lazy Friday night, you're not doing anything, and you're just hanging out at the crib, check out the show. I'll be live after 6 p.m. Again, my brother Kendall joins me. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll get more into this Paramount deal and what it means for DC. And we'll get into what other stuff we get into. But be sure to, again, subscribe to the channel, New Generation Media. Give us a like if you can. And of course, if you're watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, search New Generation Podcast Network to find the audio version of this. And when you get there, if you give us a 5-star review and a written review, that helps us a ton. That'll do it for now for day 35. I'll see you for night 36 a little bit later. I'm EJ Stewart. Have a good rest of your day.